Hey, welcome to Rock and Roll Medicine. This is Denny Spinks, and I'm here with Brian Tatler from Diamond Head. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Um, Before we get into the new live album and everything, I just kind of want to recap some of the things that kind of happened throughout the time to get you to this point. Um, Obviously, you started in '79. Is that correct?
What the band Diamond Head?
Yeah,
No, it's not correct. I must correct you there. Sorry, 1976.
six. Okay, a lot earlier than I thought.
Yeah, punk rock period, really. Yeah, when there was a lot of bands sort of doing it for themselves.
So, were you more of a punk rock band than you were uh the part of the new wave British heavy metal?
No, definitely not. I liked punk rock, but I didn't want to be a punk rocker. I couldn't get on with the fashion. You know, at the time it was safety pins and Mohican,
Mohawk.
all that business. Cut your clothes up and stick them back together. Now was a die-hard heavy metal fan, having been to see bands like Black Sabbath and UFO and AC/DC and Judas Priest, etc. So I think I probably just wanted to do that, emulate my heroes. And so form a band. My older brother played guitar in a band, 6 years older than me, and so I was introduced to the electric guitar and equipment. He showed me. Well, this is an amp. This is a you plug into the amp and you hit this chord, and so it gave me a bit of a background and a start. Uh, and so yeah, in '76, where just before I left school, when I had all these friends at school, I would ask around, can you sing? Do you want to join a band? Can you play bass? That type of thing. So formed Diamond Head pretty much in June '76 at school, really.
Wow. So when did the first, maybe when I was reading, it was you did two demos before you got signed, correct? Or is that not incorrect as well?
Um,
My source is lying to me.
we probably did more than two. We probably did a couple of different demos because we didn't get signed till 1982, but we did do our own album in 1980. Um, we just pressed up 1,000 copies and sold them mail order and sold them at gigs. So I mean that was again the spirit of the time. Punk rock was do it yourself, and there's lots of little labels appeared, uh, and you'd record it cheaply, quickly, and you put your own record out. You put normally just a single. Yeah, obviously we put a single out first on this little label called Happy Face Records from Worcester in the Midlands, and then we thought we'd just do our own album as well, and that was it. So we got all the material. We'd been playing live, so we knew how to play, but we just had a week in the studio recording and mixing our own debut album, Lightning to the Nations, and I'm very glad we did.
How was the following back then?
Well, it grew because of the new wave of British heavy metal, which happened in 1979. There was suddenly lots and lots of bands all over the UK playing heavy metal, playing rock, and young guys, would be coming to the gigs and getting excited, saying how great everything was, and it was a good time to appear and try and make it as a band, because you had all this scene. There was the newspaper Sounds, the music paper,
Right.
took lots of notice and would give bands front cover, and probably the record labels took notice of that. They were suddenly, oh, there's a movement going on here called the new wave of British heavy metal, and I think they all dipped their toe in and signed a token band. As we know, EMI signed um, Iron Maiden, and
Right.
Phonogram signed Def Leppard, and and etc. etc. So I mean, the fault in that is that there was 400 new wave of British heavy metal bands, but there's only about half a dozen record labels. So there was a bit of a battle to get signed.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. It sounds like the same issue you were having in the early 80s is what they were having in the later 80s in America.
Right.
Signing all these bands and whatnot.
Yeah.
When did you realize that you were influencing other younger American bands? Say like Metallica,
Yeah.
Dave
Yes.
Mustaine, Megadeth, stuff like
Yes.
that.
Well, obviously, I'll say obviously, not everybody knows, but Lars Ulrich came over to see Diamond Head. He bought a copy of the album because we advertised it mail order. Then he came over to see Diamond Head in the summer of 1981, and he, befriended us. He stayed with me for a week. He stayed with Sean for about 3 or 4 weeks, and we took him to gigs with us in the car, and he came to rehearsals and all that. So to us, he was just like this fan, this uber fan who'd come all the way from LA to hang out with Diamond Head, and he was an American, so he had a funny accent. So we thought he was great. We really liked him. We liked his enthusiasm, and then of course he went back and formed this band called Metallica, who meant nothing because they weren't a band much at this point, were they?
Right.
They hadn't done anything in 1981. And then we would write letters to each other, fan club, like a fan writing to the fan club and all that. And then eventually, come 1984, they covered "Am I Evil" on the Creeping Death single. So that's when we kind of realized, oh, okay, well, we knew Lars loved Diamond Head and Motorhead and all these new wave bands, but they were the first band ever to cover Diamond Head, and so we were flattered. Well, we've been covered. It's interesting to hear your song played by another band,
right,
and played with a lot of enthusiasm and respect. So we were happy. We thought it was great, but we didn't know what was to come. We didn't know this band called Metallica were going to be the biggest metal band of all time, sell 100 million records. No idea.
Well, I was going to ask you how it feels when someone covers, but how does it feel? How did that translate over to your fans? Did it bring more crowds? Did it?
Yes, I think so. And I think it's kept us alive because they would name check us in hundreds of magazines. And
they still do.
Yes, indeed. They wear their influences on their sleeve, don't they? There's not many bands that cover other bands as much as Metallica. I can't think of another band that covers bands.
No, I mean, Five Finger Death Punch covers a lot as well.
Right.
But they don't have the longevity as Metallica either. You know what I mean?
Yes. But yeah, and Metallica have been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah.
They did a whole double album, didn't they, of covers?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you take like AC/DC, for example, they don't do covers, do they?
Uh-uh.
They've done one cover in my memory, if my memory serves, which is "Baby Please Don't Go."
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you'd be right because I can't think of one.
I think that's the only one they've done. And Black Sabbath don't really do covers. I think they covered "Evil Woman" maybe, or "Wicked World" or something. There's something on the first album or a first single that's a cover, but nothing else throughout their career. So anyway, Metallica fortunately covered Diamond Head and lots of other bands, and it's been a fantastic help, not just financially, but also kudos of helping the band get more work and getting notice by record companies and promoters.
So I would imagine, it's staying relevant for sure.
Yeah,
because you get to still tour, correct?
Correct.
You guys tour.
You're not some old band from the 80s. You're this band that influenced Metallica. So people check you out.
Yeah. Even Megadeth as well, because Dave Mustaine You
Yeah,
know, he's the same way. I mean,
he's been very vocal about
yeah,
Diamond Head as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
just think, well, when I think of Metallica in the early days, Dave Mustaine obviously was in that,
Hmm.
so I consider that as well. Um,
And they used to play, at their early gigs, they would play 4 or 5 Diamond Head songs with Dave Mustaine on guitar. So he obviously,
oh yeah.
knew the material inside out.
So I mean that that's kind of cool when they do more than one, right? One's cool, but when they do more than one,
Yeah, it's
you're like,
amazing.
okay,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Four. They've covered 4 on record, haven't they?
yeah, yeah. Have they brought you on stage, or have they come on, like one of them come to one of your shows and bring them on stage or any of that stuff?
They've been to see Diamond Head, but we've never had them on stage really. I wouldn't want to do that necessarily. I think if Lars does come to a show, I think he's there
To
to relax,
watch?
maybe, yeah, to watch, not under pressure to get on and play somebody else's drum kit, and everybody's there with their phones.
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, I played on stage with Metallica a few times. The first time was in 1986.
Oh, okay. That
Yeah,
early.
that early, September 20th, 1986, Birmingham Odeon, with Cliff Burton on bass,
Oh,
Master of Puppets, and we did Am I Evil? And then a week later, Cliff
wow.
dies. So that was, terrible and
Yes.
very weird
Yeah,
for
I
everyone.
bet. Yeah, I mean that whole situation's, obviously weird for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
especially
really weird.
the main guys in the band and everybody around them. Um, so going up through, so how many albums did you guys put out? Um,
Eight studio
e-
albums,
eight
Diamond Head. Yeah, over the
throughout
years.
the years.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because we
all
stopped twice. We stopped. We split twice, unfortunately, and so that's big gaps. Like 5 years, 7 years, that kind of thing. But yeah, we've done 8 studio,
so
and
were the
we re-recorded an album as well. We re-recorded "Lightning to the Nations" in 2020, and put some extra tracks on it, like some covers, and we covered "No Remorse," from Kill 'Em All.
oh yeah,
So that was good. That was fun to do. I really enjoyed that.
a little payback.
Yeah, well, or at least a nod. Thank you, and yeah, there you go. I don't think they need the royalties, but
Right. So when you guys had the the breakup and the whatnot between albums, was this just due to like conflicts between the band, or was this like, I don't like the material, I don't like what we're putting out type of
no, it
deal?
wasn't that. It was more just clashes of personality, and I think Sean was quite difficult to work with, and I think he wanted to do something else, like a solo project or something. Uh, so I think around the mid 80s, he probably had enough of doing Diamond Head, so he wanted to go and do something else. And he ended up doing an album with Robin George called Notorious. That took about 3 years, and then another other time. What was the break? We broke. Yeah, we did. We did an album in '93 called Death and Progress, and then we stopped again in '94. Um, Partly over one reason or another, management and this, that, and the other. But he's quite a difficult character to work with.
Mhm.
Fantastically talented, brilliant singer, brilliant writer, but business-wise, quite difficult to work with. And so we ended up going separate ways again there. And I mean, the band's been going flat out since like 2000. But we did have some big breaks, which probably cost us a lot in, momentum, and trying
Right,
to keep,
right.
like some bands just keep going and keep the ball rolling. And once the ball stops, it's very hard to get it going again.
Hmm.
So, we fell into that trap really of it all falling apart, and then having to gain momentum again.
Yeah, I I've been reading Alan Nivet's book, his new book. I don't know if you know who he is.
I'm
He
not sure now.
he was Great White and Guns N' Roses manager in the early
Okay, yes,
days.
I know the name.
Um, and he was talking about, as being a manager, getting these tours going, right? Putting them on the best tours and this and that. For whatever reason, obviously Guns N' Roses is very dysfunctional back then, so they blew a lot of tours that could have exploded.
Right.
Luckily, they kept it going. So, how important was your manager in helping you, get the tours that you need to get on the tours? Because obviously nowadays you've been put on like what was it, the 70,000 tons of steel. That's a big one. Are you being put on festivals? Are they treating you right? Things like that.
Are we talking about Saxon's management?
No, just like your management.
Oh, Diamond Head.
Yeah.
Uh, we don't have a manager. Diamond Head doesn't have a manager. Or tell a lie, it did have a manager. We've been through periods where we didn't have a manager and we self-managed it. Then we had a manager come on board around 2018, where we got some good dates, we got some good shows. We did dates with Saxon, uh, but he's now passed us on to somebody else and slimmed down his roster, so we're not managed by the same guy anymore. So things have gone a bit quiet on the the Diamond Head conquering the world
Is
front.
it is it easier or harder not to have a manager if you're managing yourselves?
Um, I think it's easier in respect that you can get onto festivals and support slots because they use cloud, don't they? They can say, well, if if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. I want to do something for this band. They can help you up the ladder, but
Right.
you can't just do what you like. You can't just then go off and book yourself some gigs because you fancy it. But you have to run everything through the management, and
Right.
then they want to take a slice of the pie. And sometimes if you're not earning a lot anyway, and they're taking 15%, then you're not making any more money than you did when
Right.
you did it yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess doing it yourself, you get to learn more about the inside of what's going
Yeah,
on,
absolutely.
rather than just, oh, I'm just going to do this. Well, you
Yeah,
don't know that you have to pay for such and such, whatever
yes,
you damage you did or didn't do, or, things like that.
yeah. Booking like tours, like a US tour or something, where you have to pay for flights and hotels,
Right.
transport and diesel and any crew. It's super complicated. A lot of that work was taken on by our drummer Carl Wilcox. I mean, I didn't want to do all the leg work, and he was happy to do it. And if he hadn't done it, a lot of the stuff we've done in the past 20 years wouldn't have happened. uh, so but it's difficult. It's super difficult, and I think Carl's learned tons as we go on the
Yeah,
job.
I'm sure.
Mhm.
So, okay, let's talk about why you're here. You have a new live album out. So
Yep.
let's talk about it. What's it called and how did it become to fruition?
Okay, so it's called Live and Electric, and it's out on July the 11th on Silver Lining Records, Silver Lining Music. And it came about because in 2022 we were opening for Saxon. We got the European tour, which was 22 dates, and then we've got the UK tour, which was 14 dates. So during the European tour, we had a meeting and we realized we could record you know, the whole of the UK tour if we wanted to. We said we've got, you're like a digital desk and you have the
Mhm.
facility to record, and then it will just go onto hard drive. And then at some point we can review these recordings. And we thought, yeah, that's a good idea because we could put out a live album. We thought we'll listen to everything first, and if we like it, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. It hasn't cost a fortune. Years ago you'd have to hire like a mobile recording studio or
Yeah.
we're using 2-inch tape and all that, and it cost thousands. Whereas now you can do it very cheaply. So that's what we did. We did this UK tour. We recorded every show, and then after the tour, we could go through, listen to each version, and build up enough for an album, because we were only doing 40 minutes each night as a support band, and so that's about 8 songs. So we'd have to do the big songs, Am I Evil, The Prince, etc. And then the 3-song gap where we could do different songs, we would change that. One night we'd do things like Dead Reckoning, maybe, or Set My Soul on Fire. Then next night we might do Sweet and Innocent and The Messenger or something. So we would mix it up throughout the tour to make sure we captured enough songs, maybe 12 songs for an album, but also trying to please the fans on the night, because we're playing to big crowds. The Saxon fans are there, and you want to go down well, but you also want to. Well, we wanted to capture these recordings for posterity, so it's worked out really well. It sounds great, and it'll be out in a few weeks' time.
Awesome. Did you guys also do video for any of this?
Well, we didn't have the crew really, and we didn't have the budget. So we had a front of house guy, Jay, who's also make sure we recorded this each night, and it went down onto disc. And we had a guy helping set up the drums, and a girl doing the merch. But that's it really, crew wise. So we didn't have a video guy. We couldn't have afforded that. And also because we're changing the set, there wouldn't be a consistent live at London.
Right.
So what we did have is Jay had a nice video camera. So every night It's Electric, when he that's quite a simple track. He hadn't got to do anything, pop the vocal, tweak this. So he would run down to the front and video us from the photo pit for like one song for about 3 minutes, and then run back to the mixing desk. And so that's the footage that we've got. And so that's the footage that he put together for that little video, Helpless, that's online. And thank God he did, really, because we've at least got that from that tour. That's the only bit of footage that we have from that tour, and it's good quality. And he would edit it down onto his laptop, after each show. And yeah, great. We got that at least.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So what can fans expect coming in the future? Are you gonna tour on this album, or is this you got tour dates in the future coming up?
Sorry, what was that second part?
Do you have tour dates in the future coming up, or
no, we don't. I mean, since I joined Saxon in the beginning of 2023, it's been very difficult to do live shows for Diamond Head. And we sort of decided to take a hold, or to go on hold, a hiatus type thing. But the manager and the agent said it would probably be the best thing is to just, let me, find my way into Saxon. So I've been busy, not only I had to learn the material, but also as soon as I joined, the plan was to do a new album to come out in time for the Judas Priest tour, which was like the beginning of 2024. So I was busy, doing that, and I didn't have time to do anything hardly with Diamond Head. I still do, promotion and things, but I couldn't book a show because the chances are it may clash with the Saxon, because Saxon's so busy. If we booked a Diamond Head show and a Saxon show coming, I would have to do the Saxon show. So then we'd have to cancel the Diamond Head show and let people down, and I didn't want to get into that. So we just thought, let's take a break. So we're coming up to 2 years since we last did a gig, which is not a massive amount of time. You know, when if Oasis can stop for 15
Right.
minutes,
Yeah.
surely, you know, give us a break.
Well, I mean, who's to say you can't go on a festival and do a set, in the summer, depending on where it's at. And of course, if Saxon's there as well, you get a double feature, right?
Yeah, it's not out of the question.
So it sounds like Saxon's pretty much taken all of your time from here on out.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, and I don't want the stress of trying to hold two bands at the same time, hold all the songs
Yeah,
and
yeah.
work on both bands. I'm happy doing Saxon. It's a fantastic opportunity. It's a real change. I enjoyed the challenge of learning the new material and playing with different players, and so I'm just enjoying where I am at the moment. And we'll just see regarding
Yeah.
Diamond Head. I mean, it's great we've been able to get this live album out, and I'll just see excuse me, what happens in the future. No one really knows, do they? They don't know where we're going to
No,
be in
no,
12 months' time, you know. So
no. Awesome. I can't wait to hear it. Brian, I know you got your cup of time. Uh, Thank you for stopping by.
you're welcome. Thank you.
And it was good to see you. And hopefully we get to talk soon. Well, maybe we'll talk some Saxon next time.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.